Greetings, YouTube. Anyone familiar with my channel will know that I am not a fan of GOP. The last decent Republican president was Eisenhower. The last decent Republican governor was probably Schwarzenegger. And I feel that Nixon was the person that created the beachhead on the war on America. He landed the forces on American soil that the GOP has been using since then to attempt to dismantle our entire nation, destroy the middle class, and turn America into a new form of feudalism. And yes, I am being dead serious. This is not hyperbole. I feel that the GOP will not be happy until the 99 are serfs, and the 1% and above are the only ones with any power, opinions, or money. One of the tools that Nixon employed was the Southern strategy, which was using racism to help move the GOP agenda along its path towards its ultimate goal of destroying the middle class. And one of the tools within that strategy was the war on drugs. So I'm going to quote something to you. Dan Baum, a Harper's contributor and former staff writer for The New Yorker, recalled a conversation he had in 1994 with former advisor to the President for Domestic Affairs John Ehrlichman. Ehrlichman was also a mover and shaker in the political landscape from way back. He was part of the Bush administration, Bush 1, but he was also deeply involved with Nixon. He served 18 months in federal prison for perjury charges stemming from the Watergate scandal. Like I said, deeply involved in the Nixon administration. Here's Ehrlichman's damning admission to Baum via Harper's. At the time, I was writing a book on the politics of drug prohibition. I started to ask Ehrlichman a series of earnest, wonky questions that he impatiently waved away. You want to know what this was really about? He asked, with the bluntness of a man who, after public disgrace and a stretch in federal prison, had little left to protect. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalize both heavily, we could disrupt these communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them nightly after night on evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. I must have looked shocked. Ehrlichman just shrugged. Then he looked at his watch, handed me a signed copy of his steamy spy novel, The Company, and went and led me to the door. So there we have someone intimately involved in the 68 campaign and after with Nixon finally coming clean about the fact that the war on drugs from square one was not about the drugs. It was about the groups that were associated with certain drugs in the public's mind and how that association could be used against them. Now we know in the real world that white people and black people use drugs equally. And I'm talking percentages here, folks, not numbers. So if 30% of black people use drugs, 30% of white people use drugs. And there's a whole lot more white people. And yet 4 times as many black people are being arrested for drugs. That's an example of systemic institutionalized racism. And it's been going on for a very long time. And it started with Nixon's efforts to vilify the left and black people. So whenever someone talks about the war on drugs and the importance of keeping things illegal, remember this. It was about racism and crushing political dissent. It had nothing to do with drugs at all, ever. It never has, and it never will. We need to abolish these laws. We need to legalize everything. We need to treat addiction as a medical, not a criminal issue. Law enforcement should have nothing to do with addiction. It should only be medical professionals. I've despised Nixon and all the Republicans since then. There's a just reason for that. And this is one of them.